Okay, so while people are joining, I'm going to start so long. Okay, so my name is Cecilia Denton. I am from PTES Consulting and Recruitment Services. So we are a psychometric assessment firm that usually does psychometric assessment for individuals, but also for companies, mostly for recruitment and personal development. So you can go check out our website. So there's www.psychometrictesting.co.za or ptesconsulting.co.za. And then I always like to say thank you to the HR Talk that always arranges these webinars for us. They do it very competently and they send out all the invites. So it always works out very well. Okay, so this morning we are going to talk about stress. This is my favorite topic. You will see that this is part 3. Some of you may have joined part 1 and part 2, but what I will do is I'm going to do a quick recap about the previous sessions and then go a little bit more into resilience and what it is that you can do. So, okay, I just want to quickly have a look again about to everyone that is joining us. All right. Okay, fantastic. So you are welcome to put some questions and notes in the chat box as we are going through the session. It's always nice to see if someone has got a question about something specific. So I will try and answer it as we go along. All right, so what we're going to look at today is what is stress? How does worrying affect you? What is the difference between stress, worry, and anxiety? And then we're going to look at resilience. I always look at resilience as the 4th component to the whole stress cluster. So we are going to look at a scientific study, how to suppress white bears. So it's going to be interesting for you to see, because we all do this. And I'm going to show you what you can do about suppressing white bears. And then how to control unwanted thoughts and increasing your mental fitness. Okay, so just a quick recap again, like what is stress? So stress is the body's reaction to any change that requires an adjustment or a response. So it responds with a physical, a mental, and an emotional response. So stress is a normal part of life. You can experience stress from your environment, your body, and very importantly, your thoughts. So everyone suffers from stress. So even if you walk from one room to another, and there's a small difference in room temperature, your body needs to adjust to it. And there exists a situation that you need to adjust to or adapt to. And it's during the adjustment or the adaptation phase that we either do well or not. So if you think about your own life, there should be adjustments constantly. And this is where you either do well or not. Also, what I want to share with you this morning is we do psychometric testing on a daily basis. So we test lots of people. And currently what I'm experiencing that's going on in South Africa at the moment is extremely high levels of pessimism. So I'm telling you this because I want you to know that you are not the only one who is experiencing stress and perhaps feel like I really want to do something about it. So the stress levels are just extremely high, and pessimism. And I think it's post-COVID. It's post all the losses that we've had and still have. It's our economy. It's the load shedding topic alone is making people very frustrated and stressed. So there's quite a lot of current things that's happening that's causing this. So don't think it's only you in isolation. There is quite a stressful vibe that's going on at the moment. So I want to recap. Let's look at the symptoms of stress. So there's emotional symptoms, there's physical symptoms, there's cognitive symptoms, and behavioral symptoms. So emotional will be just the feeling of being overwhelmed and frustrated and just feeling that anxiousness. Physical symptoms sits in your muscles. So this is where the muscles goes tense. You're getting headaches from it. Anything physical in your body. Cognitive symptoms would be forgetting, being disorganized. You all know the feeling of going blank in a test or an exam or in a meeting or in a presentation. We all know that feeling. That is stress. Behavioral symptoms is Things, for example, where you procrastinate, you do everything except from what it is that you're supposed to do. You're procrastinating, you're avoiding. That type of behavior would be a behavioral symptom. And it could also be when you're driving traffic and you're very irritated and frustrated and you start driving erratically and maybe hooting at people. That would be a behavioral thing. So just be aware of what is yours. You will have probably a combination, but be aware of which one is mostly you. Then let's look at the types of stressors. So it's very important to distinguish between your external ones and your internal ones. So external, that's the things around you that you can't always really control. That would be deaths. There was a lot of losses now during COVID. There could be injuries, illnesses, the breakdown of a relationship, being a victim of a crime, even things like retirement. Even if it sounds like it's not so stressful, that change can be a very stressful event. Then internally is your own expectations, demands that you put on yourself, misperceptions, assumptions. We run away with these things very, very quickly. Fear and anger. There's also two things that we do. We generalize and we exaggerate. As human beings, we do these two things. And I want you to remember it. We exaggerate and we generalize. That causes very big pressure. You can literally, when you use the wording, it will have an impact on your body. And I want you to actually test it sometimes. So this would be something like, say you don't get a promotion, or you don't do well in a test, or something happens and you say to yourself, this always happens to me. This always happens to me. And it never turns out well for me. That dramatic type of wording, you will literally, if you pay close attention to your body, you will feel that it's got an actual effect on your body. So be very cautious of that. And today, with the high pessimism that we have in our society, pessimism will go hand in hand with the exaggeration and the generalization. So try to get back to as neutral and as realistic as possible. That will be your coping skill now. So someone told me the other day, okay, so if you don't want to face the reality, then it's your problem. And then I thought, that is frustration talking. But what you can do and what you have to do in the situation that we are in right now, you have to look at what is really the reality, what are we exaggerating and generalizing, and it's just to cope. We have to, at the moment, look at the things that are going well, things that are working for us in our, say, country, in our society. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you to cope. So even though we know that those things are the truth, the negative things, the problems, it is the truth. But you do want to look at the most realistic and things that are not too generalized or exaggerated, because it will make, the wording will make it worse for you. All right, so then let's look at the difference between stress, worry, and anxiety. Okay, so if you thought that stress, worry, anxiety is the same thing, then we can teach you something today. It's not, it's different from each other. And stress would be something that you may not be able to totally control. Your worry and your anxiety, however, you've got more control over those parts. So stress is something that happens in the body. Stress is an emotional response and is usually caused by external triggers. An external cause could be anything from exams, it could be traffic, it can be boyfriend, girlfriend problems, poverty, unfairness at work, illness, anything like that. So it's a lot of times it's things that we can't really control. You need to manage yourself within that. So for example, if you have money problems at the moment or a heavy workload, you've got young children, all of those type of things, there may be a lot of things that you can't actually do something about, but you can do something about the next two, which is worry and anxiety. But it's going to take a lot of discipline. It's going to take a lot of understanding what that is. It's going to take a lot of focus for you to know, what am I doing on a daily basis? So worry is different from stress in the sense that it's mostly internal thinking and happens in the mind. So it is often triggered by something that is real in life, for example, getting cancer or losing a job. So it's triggered by something that's real, but then it's followed by unreal or imagined thinking about what could happen in the future. Most of our worries is about what is going to happen in the country, what's going to happen in my job, what's going to happen with my money situation. So a lot of times we do take the worry to a next level. We do add quite a little bit of extension to it, which has not happened yet. Of course, you're going to tell me that any normal, realistic thinking person is going to worry about what am I going to do for the future? What would be my way of caring for the future if I know I don't have A, B, and C right now? So I know that that is real. But what I want you to do is to bring your thoughts back to neutral, because that hasn't happened yet. The only thing that is happening is this moment right now. Yesterday is already past. It doesn't exist anymore. Tomorrow has not happened yet. You've got no idea what is going to happen. And worry is defined by internal thinking about problems or unpleasant things that may happen. And this causes you to feel fearful and unhappy. So in simple terms, worry is something that's not happened yet, whereas stress is happening. So I know that it sounds like it's easier said than done by telling you to not worry about stuff where you're going to tell me, but I have a brain and my brain can see that A, B, and C is not going well. But I want you well, firstly, I want to explain to you that it's not like that I'm trying to make out that your stress and the things that are currently happening is not as serious, because there's a lot of serious or, things that is happening that is really real, that is a cause of worry, and that is a cause of concern. But the only thing that you can do today is not to, how is that saying where they say problems walk into the front door and they usually pass out the back door, but just don't sit it down and serve it tea. I'm sure that a lot of you have heard that before. So the reason why I'm saying that is worry can be pulled out of proportion. Yes, there is going to be things that's going to be unpleasant, that may not work, there may not be a lot of money, but most of the time what people do is they do cope with their situation. They do get through it. And think about your situations in the past. How many times have you had bad situations that you did get through? You actually pulled out some skills and competence to deal with it, and you've dealt with it very well. So even though we're in a very strange period right now, this is post-COVID, people are in a monetary stress. There is the load shedding topic. But think about other things that's happened in your past that was perhaps even worse than this. We forget about that, and we forget about our skill and our resilience to cope with it, because it is there. So all I want to remind you about here when it comes to worry, don't pull it out of proportion. Yes, it's real, it's there. Your topic is there, but don't put it clothes on it, put shoes on it, and a ribbon in the hair. I always talk about having this body that we dress and we give it arms and legs and a head and a face. Just keep it to where it is. Keep the stress where it is. Don't serve it tea and make it bigger, because it hasn't happened yet. You don't know what may happen in between to make it better. And if you do think about your past experiences, I think a lot of people that's on this particular a session with us here now are people who's been around the block. They've been around the block, they hold jobs, they've got families. I can tell you most, if not all of the people in this little group here today has gone through deep, deep waters and deep pain and deep stress. And what we are feeling and experiencing right now is maybe, yeah, it's bad, it's serious, but it's not as bad as you may have had before. So just remind yourself of that. Just take your thought back to neutral. You don't know. You really actually don't know. All you know is what is happening right now here today. Then let's look at anxiety. So anxiety is how everything links together. So anxiety happens in the mind and the body and is caused by persistent excessive worrying about things. So interestingly, this can never happen This can happen even when there are no stressors. So this is very, very interesting. Anxiety can happen even when there's no stressors. On the other hand, a buildup of a lot of stresses over a long period of time can cause anxiety. So this is why I want to tell you why anxiety can happen without any stressors, because the origin of anxiety, if you really go research anxiety and what people say about anxiety, and I'm talking about doctors, I'm talking about people that's done studies on it, not just YouTube nonsense. If you want to research things, get good sources. I also see now that a lot of people they get diagnosed with anxiety. People view it almost as a disease, that like, I've got blue eyes, it's the same as having anxiety. I just have it. I just have it. I am I'm totally left to the whims of this world. I don't know what it is that I can do about my anxiety. Anxiety is something that also greatly is caused by us. It is caused by your own thinking of how you fit into this world and what it is that you can do in this world, your own helplessness, hopelessness, and motivation. So anxiety is something that actually originates from childhood. It originates a lot from the people that you were exposed to. If you had calm and controlled parents that looked at things, stressors and worries and things, it comes and goes, and they just view it as, yes, just another stressor, but it comes and it goes. And if you were exposed to that person that didn't take things as seriously, your anxiety today may be better than someone who was exposed to extreme levels of no control in the parents. So I don't want to blame everything on the parents. Please don't look at it like that, because anxiety's got several sources. It originates from where you come from, but it's also triggered by things about how you see the world today. So it depends on how you were programmed and what you were exposed to when you were younger, and you can do something about it. So I can tell you something about myself. I was brought up by a mother who has an extreme anxiety disorder. So I was always exposed to that absolute extreme, it's the end of the world every day. So even if there were stressful events versus normal events, even a normal event would have been the end of the world. So every single event was the end of the world. And that is one of the reasons why I studied what I studied and why I explored this whole stress component, because I thought, this is nonsense. This is nonsense. I want to know, what is this all about? Where does it come from? Can I manage it? Can I control it? And I can tell you guys that since I started doing something actively about it, I think my anxiety went from about 85% in a day to maybe 5% in a day. So if I do neglect some of my coping skills, like doing exercise, meditation, things like that, because I have got dedicated things that I do. If I neglect it, the anxiety goes up a little bit. So I can immediately see when I neglect myself, the anxiety goes up. So anxiety can also be managed. And I want to tell you that you can also get help for this. Don't try and do it all on your own. To get therapy, to see where does mine come from? Why is it so extreme? Why does it pop up only here and there? Get therapy, get someone to help you to uncover where your stuff comes from. What were you exposed to when you were younger? And also don't hold it against people that maybe stressed you out in the past. They also didn't know. No one knows. We're just in this world, we're trying to do our best. So don't blame. Just know that people they're here to learn, and that's what you need to do. So what is it that you can do? So resource and research therapy type of sessions that can help you explore your own anxiety, where your stuff comes from. Is it current? Does it come from your background? Whatever. Research and Google stuff that you can help to keep you calm during the day. So if you guys had to research the things that actually works up the central nervous system during the day, because we all neglect the central nervous system. The central nervous system is something that can be controlled by not taking in too much caffeine, too much spicy food, too much bad food, doing exercise. Meditation is all about calming down the central nervous system. The system is in your entire body from your head to your toes. And we totally neglect it. We push the coffee and the caffeine, we go crazy, and then we're on edge and we're stressed and we wonder why. Be aware of every single thing that happens with you during the day. What type of thing is not good for you? Do you need to take regular breaks? And if you take a quick coffee break of 15 minutes, is it you and just your cup of coffee having a clear mind for just 15 minutes? I say it in all my previous sessions. I always say, when you do sit alone with your 15 minutes with your cup of tea, do you actually experience your cup of tea? Do you smell your coffee and it's just you without the phone, without talking, without thinking, just you? You know how many people struggle to just have that 15 minutes calm alone on their own. So that's the first thing. You can actually start with that. Start with that and practice to just have that break. You will know, when you get worked up and when you actually need to step away from the computer. You know when that time comes. You know when it comes where you need to maybe go sit and do a few breathing exercises. And research these things. It's all over the internet right now. Everyone knows how to meditate, do yoga, exercise. Everyone knows how to do it. You cannot say that you don't know it. The biggest problem that we have, we are lazy and we don't want to explore it because it's so much easier to drink a pill or drink a beer. It's very, very easy. It takes you 2 seconds to do it. So you have to look at your own coping mechanisms and things what it is that you do to calm down your anxiety. But anxiety is not something you need to live with. It is not something that you have to accept because this is just who I am. You can actively, in a dedicated way, work at it. We are just most of the time lazy. Okay, so let's look at resilience. If you have any questions about anxiety or worry, please let me know. There are some very good research that has been done about what worry and anxiety actually causes within us. So really, please research it and see what it means for you. Okay, so what does resilience mean? So resilience is the tendency or the ability to bounce back quickly. Or do you fall apart? Now, resilience is also like a muscle. You can build it. You can make it fit. You can get better at it. If you walk around the block once, it's not going to make you fit. So resilience is something that you want to push a little bit. You want to exercise it. You want to get better at it. And you're not going to just develop it by doing nothing. Look at it, what it is that you can do to make yourself better. But let's listen at what it is. So when you have resilience, you harness your inner strength that helps you rebound from a setback or a challenge, such as a job loss or an illness or a disaster or a loved one's death. And these things are serious topics that I'm mentioning here. And if I say, if you need help, get help. Don't always try to do everything on your own. There's people that does this for a living, for a job. You don't have to suffer all alone and in silence. So if you lack resilience, you might dwell on problems. You might feel victimized. You may become overwhelmed or turn to unhealthy coping mechanisms such as substance abuse. Substance abuse sounds like such a big thing here, but that happens so easily. We just have a glass of wine every night, more and more and more and more. Even alcohol, I'm not saying you mustn't do any of these things, but I always talk about balance. Oh, goodness, my picture closed in front of me. Sorry, I closed my own presentation. What did I do now? Sorry, let me just stop the sharing and open it again. I clicked on something and I closed my own presentation. Okay, so let's continue. Sorry about that. Okay, so resilience won't make your problems go away, but resilience can give you the ability to see past them. Another important point, stress management, coping skills and resilience does not make your problems disappear or go away. The last time I had a session like this, someone said to me, but if I don't worry, it means that I don't care. or that, I'm not responsible. And that's not what we are saying. What we are saying is you don't want to take your worry to the next level. If the worry pops up and it's there, or the anxiety pops up and it's there, try to manage it in a very optimal, positive way. So look at what it is that you can do to help you cope through that process. And you just do your best within that. But substance abuse, this is still what I was talking about. We fall back on having a glass of wine or pill so quickly, where instead of maybe calming down the central nervous system by taking a walk or a run around the block or meditating or doing yoga, it's so easy to actually affect the central nervous system even more by using something like alcohol, because it does stimulate. It stimulates the central nervous system. You actually want the opposite. And I'm not saying don't drink coffee and don't have your glass of wine. Don't do it as often, because you want to be good to your body. You want to calm it down. So, all right, let's look at adapting to adversity. So resilience is the ability to adapt to different situations. When stress, adversity, or trauma strikes, you still experience anger, grief, and pain, but you are able to keep functioning. So both physically and psychologically. So however, resilience isn't about putting up with something that's difficult or being stoic or figuring it out on your own. In fact, being able to reach out to others for support is a very big part of being resilient. So be very much aware of that. So don't think that I'm saying you have to remove all your stressors or you have to ignore it as if it's not happening. I want you to face it, recognize it, deal with it, acknowledge your own worry about it, and then think about how can I manage this optimally? What can I do to make it good for me? All right, so resilience and mental health. So resilience is also something that's going to help to protect you from various mental health conditions. You don't want your anxiety and your stress to go into depression and anxiety. Resilience can also help offset factors that increase your risk of mental health conditions, such as being bullied or previous trauma. So if you have existing mental health condition, being resilient can improve your coping ability. So also remember, there may be some of us that's always had depression, and then there may be some of us who don't have a history of it, but your wheels are still coming off. Don't think that because you haven't had it before, that you can't get it today. Of course you can. Life can become too much and too hectic and too stressful. And just acknowledge it. Acknowledge you're also a person that's under pressure. Okay, so someone made a note here. I want to read it. So what helps me to get through stressful situations is to try and remember that in my job, in my life, I'm not working in an emergency room and no one is dying. This helps me to sit back, and instead of worrying about being overwhelmed, this thought that no one is dying helps me to de-escalate the situation. So I like that, because I don't want to make out as if your stress and your pressures is not as important. But if you sometimes put it into pressure, into perspective, that's the word I want to use. If you put it into perspective, it's actually not the end of the world. It's just a deadline. It's just money. And next month, you maybe have a little bit more money left. Maybe this month you don't. It's not the end of the world. A lot of the times also, we get confused by our needs and our wants. Usually, your needs are very well taken care of. It's the wants that's getting to us, because I can't have just everything that I need. And, no one really wants to work according to a very tight budget, but sometimes you have to. Still, you have enough food to eat. Still, you have a bed to sleep in. You have a roof over your head. Those small, basic things. You've got everything already. So I like this example. It puts things into perspective for you. All right, so let's look at how mentally tough are you. Mental toughness is the ability to push through challenging, even painful situations to come out on top. It includes qualities like grit and determination, and it is closely related to emotional intelligence. Yes, it is. So emotional intelligence is being aware of myself. It's being aware of other people. It's being aware of what is happening. People always think emotional intelligence is all about hugging and kissing and and we cry together and we all, no, it's not. It is being aware of yourself, your own feelings, the physical response that you have to something that's happened. When you feel almost like sort of dizzy or that butterflies in the stomach when someone says something, be aware of when those things happen and then take deep breaths. So build your own self-awareness, push through your limits, control your thoughts, learn to focus, keep on growing. With the extreme pessimism that we have going on at the moment, you have to be aware of your own words. You have to be aware of the people that you talk to. What are their words? Because it's so easy to just get going with the pessimism. I experience it every day. I hear myself sometimes, where, it's always this and it always happens like that. It's so dramatic. Just bring yourself back to neutral. Let's look at suppressing white bears. So what is it that I was talking about when I said suppressing white bears? Okay, so how do you control unwanted thoughts? A research study conducted by psychologist Daniel Wegner delivered the following results. Okay, what do we mean by that? So there was a study done. He actually did a study with, I think it was university students. He asked participants to verbalize their stream of consciousness for 5 minutes while not trying to think of a white bear. If a white bear come to mind, he told them they should ring a bell. Despite explicit instructions to avoid it, the participants thought of a white bear more than once per minute on average. So next, Wegner asked the participants to do the same exercise, but this time to think of a white bear. So at that point, the participants thought of a white bear even more often than a different group of participants who had been told from the beginning to think of white bears. So the results suggested that suppressing the thought for the first 5 minutes caused it to rebound. Okay, so if I can put this in simple terms to you, if I tell you now to stop thinking of white bears, you may think more of white bears, because when you know what the mind is doing, the mind has monitors in place to bring up white bears, to remind you to please not think about it. So the lesson that I have for you in this, so actually I want to tell you my little experience last night. I was quite wound up. I was quite stressed. I had a hectic day. I could feel the muscles were a little tense. And as I went to lie down, I actually thought of quite a lot of topics popped up in my head, but like I could immediately see it was random topics, because there was someone had said this over there, over here a client said that to me. And so when I realized I'm actually thinking of these different things, I actually realized it's because I'm very tired, I'm exhausted, I'm a little bit stressed. So all these stupid topics, they are sort of popping up randomly. And then I thought about suppressing white bears, and I actually started to think about white bears, and I actually replaced the irritating thoughts that were coming up. I actually replaced it literally. I'm telling you now, I replaced it with the thought of a white bear. And because the more I tell myself, don't think of this person and that person and this incident, stop thinking about it, the more it will come up, because my brain is trying to remind me not to think about it. So I actually thought about white bears, and I just relaxed, and the thought actually left me. So to give you the solution to, if you want to stop thinking about something, replace the thought with something else. Replace it with something nice, anything else, something neutral. And you will see that this thought that you actually want to suppress, it will just die down, because now you are actually thinking of something else. So I hope that makes sense to you. So in short, when you try to suppress something, it may pop up more prominently because your brain is trying to remind you to not think about it. This is what the study shows us. So, but what you can do is replace that irritating, that nagging, irritating thing that pops up. Just replace it with something else, something neutral, something, just anything. And in my case, last night, I actually thought of white bears, and it actually stopped. I'm not kidding. So this is what they call this. Over the next decade, the psychologist developed his theory of ironic processes. So it's quite ironic. You don't want to think about it, and then that's all you think about. So those checks that's in the brain to make sure that you won't think about something actually makes you think about something. So this is what you're going to do from now on. So this is what you will do. So firstly, pick an absorbing distractor and focus on that instead. So you can literally decide that, and this is what I do nowadays. If I have something irritating in my head, I actually think of a white bear, just purely because it's in this presentation. I think of white polar bears, and then it dies down. But don't suppress thoughts. So try to postpone the thought. This is something else you can do. So usually we tell students, young students this, we say to them, if you're trying to study and you can't focus because that thing that someone said in school comes up constantly, we say to them, identify a worry time. At 3:00 today, I'm going to worry about this. I'm going to spend half an hour to think about that thing, and then keep your promise. So you can continue with your work and your study, and at 3:00, you do spend time on it. You do think about it. Maybe you can think of a solution. Maybe you can write your worries down. Maybe you can phone the person, whatever. But identify your worry time. It works. Then cut back on multitasking. This is the number one thing that you want to do when you feel overwhelmed. You know, when you feel stressed, and you will know your own topic. I know when I take something, leave it, take it, leave it. And I go like that, and it's all over the place, and I'm trying to do everything. I know when I get like that, I just need to stop, step away from the computer. And one thing that works very well is I will step back, just take a break, get a glass of water, something, whatever. But then do one thing at a time. Stop the multitasking. Do one thing. You only focus on one thing. Then you do the next thing. Only focus on that thing. Then you do the next thing. If you do it like that, you will see that it calms your mind down, because it's all in your head thinking you have to do everything right now. I go as far as, if I do have time during the day, I meditate and do breathing exercises every single day of my life, whether I do it early in the morning or in lunchtime, whatever. If I feel very pressured or overwhelmed, I will stop right there, and I will find a spot where I can just sit, meditate, and do my breathing exercises. I don't even care what time it is. I don't care what is happening. I stop and I take that break conscientiously and diligently and in a disciplined way. I know that not everyone has got the time and whatever to do that, but the irony is meditation actually stretches time. It gives you the perception in your brain that you've got a lot of time. So it's actually quite ironic. There's another ironic theory for you. We think that even with exercise also calms down the brain and makes you feel like there's more time. It is when you are pressured and stressed that you think there's no time. So it's all in your mind. So exposure, this is painful, Wegner said, but it can work if you allow yourself to think in controlled ways of the thing that you want to avoid. Then it will be less likely to pop back into your mind. So go explore that thing that's popping up in your head. Sometimes it's an absolute useless nonsense thought that's popping up. It's just there because your mind is wild and it's pressured and it's stressed. As soon as you calm yourself down, you will actually put it back in its little box over there. It's got no place here. You're sleeping now. It's sleeping time now. It's not time to think about that. The last one here, meditation and mindfulness. This is something I cannot stress. Ironically, I'm using the word stress. I can't stress this enough, how important meditation and mindfulness is. You will see that people are talking more and more about mindfulness. It's being aware of yourself, getting centered here. Just calm down this, get back to yourself. Most of us have lost ourselves. We don't even know what we're doing anymore. You get up, it's coffee to get yourself going, it's rush, do this, grab that. It's chaos. We don't spend time here. Stop and think about, what am I doing? What am I feeling? What am I experiencing? Like this example that the person showed here, no one is dying right now. It's just a deadline. In some cases, it might be more severe than that. Yes, it may be very serious. But everything comes and goes. Everything comes and goes. How many things have come and gone? How many things? You cannot tell me there's a lot of things that actually don't stick around. Not even COVID stuck around. Everything comes and goes. And if there are some things that don't go, they always joke about your mother-in-law, doesn't go, or your mother that's funny with you or whatever, it doesn't. Accept it. Some things you must accept. This is just how it is. You have to accept it, make peace with it. It's when you want to change it that it causes you a hell of a lot of stress. So now I want to cover a handful of things that you can do. So I'm going to say again what everyone is telling you. We're all full and tired of hearing about it. Physical fitness. So, and just since for the sake of time, I'm going to talk a little bit quicker, but we all know the benefits of exercise. Now, I know every one of us, we are sick and tired of hearing about eating well and exercising. There is a secret to it that you may not know. So, when you're during the day, you've got that feeling of butterflies in the stomach where the adrenaline gets secreted because you're being stressed or worried about something. That noradrenaline, it's a hormone that gets secreted into your bloodstream. And the only things that can get rid of the stress hormone in your blood is exercise and meditation. And why do you want to get rid of exercise in your body? The stress hormone in your body is because on the short term, that hormone can cause things like, when you get flu easily, you get fever blisters, you run down, that type of thing. That's the short-term effect of this hormone in your blood. The long-term effect of this the stress hormone in your blood gives you diabetes on the long run. It gives you heart attacks on the long run. So you all know that, and you all know that to be a truth. So don't exercise for things like to lose weight or look good. Exercise to be with yourself, to have special time with yourself. In the last class also I presented, I said to people, would you be able to take 1 hour a day just for you, where there's no one else, where you walk, you run, you sit, you meditate, it's just you. If you can get to that point, I would already be very proud of you to do that. So the first thing you want to do, whenever you have a coffee break or tea break, don't go sit in front of your computer or your phone. Take that 15 minutes only for you. Smell your coffee, smell your tea, enjoy it. Just have that. So practice that mindfulness. And then secondly, try to have 1 hour to yourself a day. Try and see if you can push through that boundary. I know a lot of people say it's impossible. Try to see what it is that you can do, even maybe half an hour. Right, next one. A common thought is that the absence of a mental health disorder means that a person is mentally fit and emotionally well. But according to Rachel O'Neill, who's a psychologist, it's a dangerous misconception. So an individual can certainly experience periods of stress, discomfort, and sadness and anxiety without necessarily having a mental health disorder or having a history of problems. So any one of us that's always been thought of ourselves as normal and okay, and I'm always controlled and I'm gathered, you can also have your downtime. You can also have your stress. So you could also have a time where you actually really need to pay attention to yourself. And so don't be surprised. Don't think that it's weird. It shouldn't be like that. I recently worked with a lady. They've been clients of mine for years and years now. This woman is 45 years old. She's never had a history of any type of issue that's happened with her. And she's been taken up into mental health places now, I think maybe twice already now. And go do it if you need it. Go get the help if you need it. Speak to someone. Just take a step back and say, I'm going to put monitors in place to help myself. I'm going to do things in a dedicated, conscious way. Okay, I think we've covered this one already, because this one is the thing that says multitasking. Do one thing at a time. So multitasking is worn as a badge of honor, but multitasking too much is not healthy. So practice being present. So when you are taking a walk, Take in your surroundings, the weather, the birds. When you're spending time with your friends, really listen to what they say. We're always on our phone. We are always distracted. You are always answering. There's always energy going externally, isn't it? The energy always goes outwards. The computer, emails, phone calls, WhatsApps, Facebook, whatever it is. Stop and take in for a change. This is very, very, very important. And then the last one, physical and mental health goes hand in hand and should not be considered separate, as poor mental health can lead to poor physical health and vice versa. So mental wellness is a process, and just like physical health, it's an ongoing process. So your physical health, but also your mental health is an ongoing process. Like medicine in the treatment of a mental illness, exercise can increase the levels of serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine, whatever you call that thing. So these are the positive hormones. Remember in the previous exercise, I said, do exercise and meditation to get rid of the stress hormone in your blood. This is what you can do to secrete the positive hormones in your blood. So it improves and normalizes the neurotransmitter levels, which ultimately helps us to improve mental health. So other important benefits include enhanced mood and energy, reduced stress, deeper relaxation. And I also want to, there is a website you can Google. It's called theartofliving.org. So there is an artofliving.org.za. It is a worldwide non-profit organization. They offer breathing exercise. So it's little courses. Then they show you how to do breathing exercises, how to meditate with it. And then there's a little bit more advanced courses where you go on silence courses. I love those. I'm actually going on a silence course this weekend. So I'm going to keep an eye on the time. Really explore it. Okay. I'm just monitoring my time. So please take note of the artofliving.org.za. It is a fantastic organization. You will see once you're there, the type of people that join are all professionals. My one teacher is a lawyer in Cape Town. He teaches you how to breathe. And then once you've done the breathing exercises, you can actually go on to the silence courses. And there's more courses that you can actually go. It's like a spa for the soul. We do everything, we do all these other things, but we never, ever relax this. Like this poor thing, it's just carrying on and on and on. So now I think this is the last one. Give yourself a daily mindfulness break. Set aside 1 or 2 minutes each day to decompress. Check in with your body. So this is where I want you to take that cup of tea or coffee. You sit only with that 15 minutes. You're going to see how difficult it is because you're so used to giving your energy, giving it away. You never sit and just take a breath yourself. Just once a week or brief daily mindfulness meditation practice has been found to produce significant improvements in attention, energy, and stress. So they've actually done scientific studies where they tested the acidity in people's bodies. They've done saliva tests before and after meditation where the acidity levels are broken down significantly. You can also significantly reduce the toxins and the stress in your body. Everyone is talking about this now. It's not a funny thing anymore. Everyone meditates, do yoga, relax. Everyone does that. So also carve out a little self-care time. Now, this is the other thing. How many of you still participate in a hobby or do something that's interesting to them? Who are you? At this point, what do you enjoy? What are your talents? What are your interests? What do you enjoy doing? What do you like to do that is totally different from work and just being online constantly? What are you good at? What are your skills? Or what are your competence? Find yourself and give care to yourself. Also set limits and stick with it. So living in a success-driven society has its advantages, but it also has its disadvantages like burnout, which is a real concern when you're trying to have it all, a career, Instagram, worthy time with friends, happy family life. Remember, it's also okay to say no sometimes. Being offline sometimes may help you, and saying no sometimes may really help you. So I think at this stage in our lives, the boundary is a very, very important thing. Don't do things because you feel you have to. Maybe you need some recovery time. I think a lot of people need recovery time at the moment. Even with my clients in the workplace, I can see there's more people who need stress management. There's more people that's reaching out for how to cope, having little coaching work done at work. So you're not the only one. Please look at your boundaries and look at what it is that you can do to make your life better. Then also, a lot of people don't want to ask for help or reach out for help. So also check in on this. A lot of people feel that talking to a psychologist, go seeing someone, it's a waste of time. Even if you are coping moderately well, there's nothing wrong to go speak to someone, bounce ideas off them, go check in. Why do you do certain things? Why do you feel the way that you feel? I'm a big promoter of saying to you, go see someone if you feel you need help. There's people that do this for a living, and this is their job and this is their career. There's a reason for it, because we need it. So don't think that you should be able to cope with yourself. I know a lot of people say, yeah, but now I need to pay for that as well. I already don't have money. It may help you to deal with things better, and it may help you to deal with your financial things better. Set some money aside, make a plan, speak to people that you trust, research things. The number one thing that you want to start doing is eating better, and you want to promote your immune system, look after your immune system, give nutrition to your body, nurture your body. That you want to do with your exercise, your meditation techniques to get rid of the stress hormones, get your body back to healing itself. That's why I know it's irritating when people say eat healthily, do exercise. I'm going to say it again. It is crucial for you to look at that. But one of your best things you can do is to practice meditation. Practice that, do yoga. So meditation is something that will clear your head, but meditation is something that will help the body to heal. So, all right. So in conclusion, mental fitness does not have to take up a lot of your time. It doesn't have to cost you a lot. Walking around the block, meditating, breathing in the air that's around, it doesn't cost you a single cent. But you have to diligently focus on what it is that you can do to make your life better. There's a lot of resources. I'm going to say it again, the Art of Living. It's www.artofliving.org.za. So that's the one for South Africa. And go see what it is that they offer. And their courses are cheap, and it's available online, and you do it in your own home. It's 2 hours at a time. It's fantastic. It's just fantastic. So remember that relaxation is just as important in a mental workout as the more energetic activities such as memory exercises or physical exercise. Okay, so that is my conclusion for today. Please let me know if you have any questions. And lastly, don't take everything so serious. Take a break. Just relax. Look at what there is that you can do to make your life better. Spend time with yourself, just alone in your head. Get into habits. Get into a habit of doing things in this way. Take your 15 minutes coffee break. Try to take an hour for yourself a day. Exercise. A colorful diet. Have a colorful diet. Cut out the sugar and all of that nonsense. And just calm down the coffee, the caffeine, and that type of thing. All right. So please let me know if you've got any questions for us. I would like to know how you feel in your life. We still have 5 minutes left, so we do have some time for some questions. If there's anything that you don't understand or that you would like to have help with in terms of what is worry, what is anxiety, how it fits together. So you may find that a lot of you've got the same type of question and the same type of worry. So please share it in the group there. We can also send you this recording or this presentation if you want it, so you can be in touch with us And I hope that you are going to join us for the emotional intelligence. There's a 3-part series that's happening. I think it starts in May until June. We've got emotional intelligence. It's going to be very, very, very interesting. So please join us for them. So it doesn't look like anyone has got any questions, but I'm going to stay online for another while, just in case anyone wants to ask something. So, right, let me just look at the time. Okay, perfect. Okay. All right, but thank you all for your participation. If it wasn't for you, I would be talking to myself today. So I really hope that I'm going to see you soon again. And I really hope that you will make some of these principles available or just do it on yourself and practice it on yourself. Try to get better at it. Research and Google what there is that you can do. And every day, do something new. Every day, add something to your life. Make significant changes. Don't just wait for things to get better. Make significant changes. Do something different today than what you did yesterday. Then you will see there's going to be a difference. Okay. Right. I'm just going to stay online for another minute or so. If no one has got any other questions for us, I just hope that we will see you in our next sessions. All right. All right. Goodbye, everyone. I hope I'm going to see you next time. Have a wonderful day.